start that now, Harry, and then by the time it'll be 10 o'clock.
Yep, should be starting in a second.
Yeah, brilliant. Great,
Yep.
brilliant. Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's 10 o'clock, so I think we'll get things started off. So thank you very much, everyone who's joined us here today. If you haven't been on a demo session before, I'll just briefly go over the format. Very simple. We've got 4 ISVs. We've got 15 minutes each across the hour to showcase their product. Differs slightly from demos you may have been on in the past. We don't do a Q&A session, so what we do is encourage you to get directly in touch with the ISV themselves if you have any further questions or if you want to see more of the product. So as you can see from the agenda there, in a minute we pass it over to Accountancy Manager, then we're going to hear from AIRPA, At.Bit Systems, and then last but certainly not least, we're going to hear from At.SETTLed. So with all that said and done, I'm going to pass over now to Jonathan to start things off. So Jonathan, can you share your screen, please?
Excellent. Thanks very much. So obviously, I'm hoping you can all see the screen.
Yeah,
and see the slides that are on there now. Okay, so great. So good morning, everybody. Thanks obviously for joining us on the session this morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about Accountancy Manager and try and explain who we are and I suppose what it is that we do for our users. So to start off, Accountancy Manager, so who are we? We are the UK's leading onboarding and practice management software. And ultimately, we provide our users with features and functionality that helps them reduce the admin that's involved in running a day-to-day successful accountancy practice. I suppose to summarise it, it's organising your and your staff's task lists. It's putting together your client lists, collating in one secure location all their documents, providing you a client portal, so that you can securely transfer and request e-signature of certain documents to and from clients, giving you a client timeline, lots of features and functionality. I'm going to obviously go into it in a bit more detail in just a moment. I suppose what is it that makes Accountancy Manager a bit different? Now, our CEO stories is something that we always refer to here. And now James Burnett, our CEO, he was working and running his own accountancy practice, particularly responsible for onboarding new clients, could never quite, I suppose, achieve the billable hours targets that he kind of set himself because of the admin involved in onboarding. He was very fortunate, had a software developer as a contact, and decided to bring Alex Hawke, who is still today our CTO, into the business. And alongside James, Alex built Accountancy Manager. James would be working away, showing off, I suppose, inefficiencies to Alex, and Alex would be creating technical solutions to those problems. That, of course, is, I suppose, the ethos that Accountancy Manager was built on. And it's the ethos that we're still quite proud of today. Although, I suppose back in 2017 when Accountancy Manager was started, it was all built on James's feedback and one developer. And these days we've got thousands of accountants giving us that feedback. Although we haven't quite got thousands of developers, we've got lots of developers working to build those features and functionality. Just quickly, just to explain who I am and why I'm talking to you today. My name's Jonathan Stovart and I'm our Head of Marketing and Strategic Partnerships. I came into the business in March 2020 last year, so just before the pandemic hit. So obviously to increase brand awareness and establish new partnerships with other organisations, such as Sage, in the accounting industry. So prior to coming to Accountancy Manager, I was a marketing and business development manager for a firm of accountants for 10 years. So I might as well, what I intend on doing here, I've got a 5-minute video that I'm going to play to you now that shows off a lot of our features and our functionality. I'm going to narrate over the top of it and just to try and explain about what it is that you're actually seeing. So, okay, so let's have a look. So what is the foundation of Accountancy Manager? I suppose it's all about saving accountants time, and this starts right from the onboarding process, but as already touched on, that was, I suppose, the starting point for Accountancy Manager. So say you're an Accountancy Manager user, you're using the system, you want to onboard new clients, you simply go into your clients, hit add new clients, and you can search for the client you want to act for. Thanks to the integration with Companies House, brings up obviously a list of businesses it could be. You then obviously click on it, check it out. Is that the business that I want to work for? Do they look like the right people? Yes, it is. Okay, so who's my main contact? Brings up a list of the directors, and of course you then pick the right contact. That's important because that's going to start populating the client file for you. So as we go through, you can see the company details all being pulled through. Obviously, that's pulled through from Companies House and various different bits of obviously the main contacts details being completed as well. The filing deadlines have also been pulled through from Companies House, which again is important because that's going to then start populating the task list for you, because Accountancy Manager provides you a task list which is deadline driven. You can also set your own target dates for tasks as well, but these details here is obviously what's going to ultimately depend on when tasks have to be completed in your task list. As you're starting to, at this stage, this is still a prospect. So you might want to start thinking about sending a proposal. So within the client file, you can start populating the proposal by selecting the services we want to be quoting for and putting in the fees we're going to be charging. You can then start thinking about, okay, so what members of staff are going to be responsible for these tasks on the assumption that we're going to convert this client. Okay, so Kay, Lee and Merrick, we're going to do it. Great. Okay, so we're going to create the prospect, and now we're going to have a look at our onboarding process. So we provide the ability to have custom workflows within the system, and in this instance, in the onboarding case, you can break down the process into subtasks, which then can be assigned to various members of the team. Obviously, in this example, pretend staff Lauren and John have been allocated those tasks. Okay, so We've now created the clients and we're in a position where we're ready to send the proposal email. The proposal email itself is one of many templates that are already within Accountancy Manager, that they're all customizable, but of course they're already in there because we know that typically users send out lots of these sorts of emails, so we provide as a template. Feel free to customize it and obviously send out to prospects. Here, just showing you can either include or exclude VAT, and once you're happy with the email, you would then press send, and that will go off to your prospect. What does that look like? This is an example of their inbox. They receive the email. Obviously, it's as per the template that you just saw. On the assumption that they want to go forward, they would simply go to the bottom of the email and click the online registration process to confirm that they want to confirm you as their accountants. They are then presented with your terms and conditions and letters of engagement. Again, our letters of engagement are all customizable. They are ACCA compliant, but we always recommend reading them and implementing them as per your regulatory body or your firm specific requirements. So on the assumption that the client is happy, they will sign a document. He sign a document. They will then be invited to create an account for their client portal. So they simply obviously pop in the password, submit it. They're then brought into their client portal. So their client portal is obviously a GDPR secure environment for clients and accountants to transfer data back and forth to each other. And in this instance, right at the beginning, once a prospect's just come on board, we're giving them the ability to tell us all the information that they've got about the business, all the sort of stuff that you probably don't get right at the beginning that you actually probably do need. So obviously they can fill this out. So it eliminates you from having to chase them for it, and of course then it's saved on the portal once it's done. I just want to touch on the previous accountants. This is a really good example about how Accountancy Manager saves accountants time. So professional clearance, it is a bit of a pain, obviously, when previous accountants don't come back to you and you're constantly chasing for old books and records. So Accountancy Manager will automate that process for you. So how it works, the prospects or now clients will pop in their previous accountant's details here. Then in the system, you can set what frequency and of course what email gets sent out to the previous accountant. And Accountancy Manager will continue to chase that previous accountant for the information that you're requesting up until the point at which you tell it not to anymore. So of course they just populate the details. They can put in other details on the website and social media handles if they want to, and then that's it. They're signed up. They've got a client portal. What does that look like from the accountant side? Well, this is where they get a notification to tell you that your prospect is now signed. So they get one notification. Great, Gab's signed terms of engagement. I don't need to do anything with that notification now. Notifications obviously just they pop up within the system to give you a bit of an update. There's no further action on that one now, is it? That's just letting me know. Great, so I'm going to archive it. What about this one? What's it saying? Okay, so client submitted the registration form. Okay, that's great. So we spoke a little bit about the task list earlier. I suppose we jump into the task list, and as you can kind of see here, this presents to a member of staff what they've got to, I suppose, what they've got to get done in the day. And we would always be encouraging, all members of staff and managers and directors of firms to be using the task list to have a look at, what's going on with current jobs. You can see the progress notes kind of says where we're at with current jobs as well, such as records requested, awaiting approval, records received. again, I just want to quickly touch on the automation settings, which we will come on to in a little bit. But we can set Accountancy Manager to chase books and records from your clients, so that once they've been received, obviously the progress note will update, and you know which jobs that you can move forwards with. You can obviously filter the task list depending on different service lines or different clients types, or what records have been received, what deadlines are coming up. The task list really is like your go-to place to know what you've got to get done in that day, and we're obviously always encouraging people to utilize that feature to its maximum. So sometimes you might not be able to progress with a job, and Accountancy Manager will flag to you why that's so, and a little red exclamation mark. Okay, so we're missing some essential details here, so therefore we need to chase the client for that. You can obviously then break down certain tasks depending on workflow. Obviously, we looked a little bit at the onboarding one earlier. It's all customizable, and you can create different subtasks as you see fit. The client timeline, lovely little feature, and lots of clients really like this. It basically, it's an audit trail of all your communication with a client. It details emails that have been sent, documents that they've signed, any changes or updates to their details in their client portal that they might have done, and of course text messages that you might have sent to them. I'm just going to quickly explain this, but although you never want to have this sort of conversation with clients, it's inevitable. Sometimes you will email a client saying, please pay your tax liability, and they will not, and they will come back to you in a few months' time saying, why didn't you tell me? It's the client timeline that you would then go back to say, oh, actually, I can see I did send you that email. Actually, I can also see you did open that email on such and such date. Unfortunately, that one's on you. So we spoke a lot about automation. Automation is a major aspect of Accountancy Manager, and it really is just, I suppose, it's taken control of the areas of practice that no longer a human has to do. You know, we're not adding particular value back to our clients by chasing them for their books and records. You might as well get Accountancy Manager to do that for you. Take that time out of your day, and then spend that time in better areas such as servicing your clients, or readjusting the work-life balance. So we can automate lots of different areas. I've touched on records received, previous accountants, but also tax payments, missing details, meeting reminders. There's lots of different areas. Keep track of missing details. Again, missing details obviously really hamper us progressing different tasks. So obviously AM will flag that to you. You can of course request 64/8 through the system as well, and of course then we've got all the details available all within the system. Oh, the presentation's ended. Someone else has started sharing. Oh, Neil, if you could just stop sharing for a moment, that would be great. I'm just going to take that back. Have we got can people see Accountancy Manager?
No, it's gone off the screen.
Jonathan, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what happened there. I wasn't actually trying to share.
Oh dear.
I think if you just start sharing again, Jonathan, it should take back over.
Oh, I seem to have lost it.
It came back on there briefly.
Was it on the slides? Was it? Or was it on my desktop?
I can see your desktop and those slides. There you go.
So you got the slides now.
Accountancy Manager, yeah.
Cool. Okay, right. So carry on. So fee projections and breakdowns. Obviously, we've got a whole profitability section within Accountancy Manager. It tells you, I suppose, ultimately how profitable certain service lines or clients are, so or not profitable. As well as obviously, and this, I suppose, this data is driven from the time tracking that we're going to have a look at here. So we've got members of staff logging time within the system, which then gets posted onto jobs. Obviously, you compare that to the fees that we're quoting to establish profitability. We can see who's actually posting time within the system, who's posting it to what job. So we can see, we've got a nice live team view, and here Angela's not posting any time, so we can see why that's so. Maybe we might want to use an internal notification to ask Angela such a question. You can use Accountancy Manager to keep all your internal notifications and communications in one place. You can mark certain notifications as urgent. In this example, we're going to be sending a notification that's going to be urgent. You see it comes right at the top of the system. So, of course, you can create a task or archive it. Within Accountancy Manager, we provide anti-money laundering checks and risk assessments. So anti-money laundering checks start from £1.25 when bought in bulk, and our risk assessments, we've worked with a former HMRC tax investigator in order to be able to make sure the risk assessment process is efficient as it possibly can be. So the client list, obviously, we provide a client list where all your client details are. You can, of course, filter this list as you see fit. Maybe you want to pick out one particular type of client and then send them all a mass email or text message. So again, it works similar to something like MailChimp. You can filter lists, select your segment, email it everybody. You can also now email, send a text message to everybody as well. I mentioned briefly that we can post time with it. Obviously, within Accountancy Manager, we can then make invoices from that time and then send these out to clients as demonstrated here. I spoke a little bit earlier about the client portal and the e-signing. Send out documents to clients and request that they e-sign them. And finally, custom forms. So custom forms are completely customizable, and it's in that they're used really just to obtain details from clients for whatever it is that you might want. Every field is customizable. In this example, we're talking about self-assessments, and we're asking particular questions about that. They can be published in the client portal, and of course, the details are recorded there as well. So Accountancy Manager truly is an out-of-box solution for accountants, bookkeepers. We are GDPR compliant, and we really would say that Accountancy Manager is the foundation of your practice. So I think you get your practice management right, and then everything else builds on top of that. That is pretty much it from me. It's difficult with time-sensitive things like this, but I'm sure I've probably created more questions than I have answered. So in order to talk it through a little bit further, please feel free to contact me. Obviously, the details for AM are on the screen now. Call us, email us, or contact myself directly. I'm always happy to help. That brings me to my close. Thank you very much for listening to us now. I think I'm going to hand over to Neil.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we've got you, Neil.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, everybody, just you guys, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. Super. So I had a couple of technical issues, but I think we've got through them, so we should get there. And Jonathan, apologies for cutting you off a little bit earlier than expected there. So let me just share my screen. So let me share my screen now. Perfect. Super. So my name is Neil Glover. I head up the sales here at AIRPA. For anybody that hasn't heard of AIRPA before, we are a platform of platforms that connects leading accountancy and finance systems all together, pulling all your data into one place. So as you can see on the image here, we're trying to connect all your systems to pull it all together into one place. So just a bit of an introduction. I've got a couple of slides to go through, and then I'll jump into a live demo. So AIRPA was formed by a team of senior executives from leading consultancy firms and some SME accountancy firms as well, but we do have some big four experience from PwC. That knowledge and experiences helps us build the platform, which is specifically designed for accountancy firms. We are a team of accountants and business leaders first, so it's not just accountants. We do have business leaders and advisors within AIRPA as well, helping us develop the platform. We have a huge drive for tech innovation. We focused on some of the key pain points, again, using that experience that we have from accounting to be able to create more time and to automate repetitive workflows and repetitive tasks that accountants and businesses face on a daily basis. And this is why we built AIRPA. The ability to access all your systems and all your data connected in one place, giving you clear and intelligent insight. We're trying to tackle some of the common pain points. Now, some of these will look very familiar to you, overly reactive, struggling with multiple data sources, communication with clients, chasing clients for that information, overwhelming manual inputs, accurate real-time information, lack of visibility, and integration issues. And what we mean by integration issues is that There are some great integrations between cloud applications through APIs, but we found that typically it's a push-pull. It's from one system to another. What we're doing is integration 3.0, which is connecting all of your systems into one ecosystem. How are we doing that? I'm going to focus on 4 key areas, features of the platform. The first is single sign-on, secure and efficient access to all of your systems and data. The second is global search, which is the ability to search for any information across all of your connected platforms. We can synchronize data, so we can align data, again, across all of your systems to one master data source. And dashboards, we bring all that information together, comprehensive client insight, again, all into one area, one dashboard. So what I will do now is very quickly jump into the system. So hopefully everybody can see here. So I've already logged into the system, one-click access. You can have 2-factor authentication on that for extra security should you require it. But I've just done 1 click and here we are. You can see we're on the AIRPA homepage and you can see all the different tiles here. This is what a typical accountancy firm or a business may look like. It might be a little bit busier than usual, purely because we're obviously showing the integrations that we have. So it's not just systems and applications. We also connect into Google. We connect into G Drive, so we can connect up your drives, multiple drives as well. So if you're using Outlook and G Drive, we can connect to those. If you are using, or if there's a particular website that you would typically log into, so that would be HMRC, for an example, where you put in username and password, you can also have an HMRC tile on here, and that will log you straight into the underlying platform or the website, if you like. So you see the little green paper clips here. What that means is that those systems are actually connected to AIRPA via an API. So where you see these green paper clips, that means that we are pulling and pushing data in real time through into the system. So now that we've got all our systems in one place, you've got a simplified username and password management. It's faster and more efficient way to manage access to your systems. And I would say you've probably got a more connected workforce just from this single page alone. Now that we've got these connected systems, we have something that I mentioned earlier, which is called global search. So what we can do here is we can jump into the search, and let's say, for example, you're a practice, you're a business, you have 100 clients or 100 or so clients. Your clients will have customers, so that means that you have thousands and thousands of points of data, as in customer supplier information, names, contact numbers, telephone numbers, email addresses, all that information floating around your business at any one time. And it's hard to keep on top of that. And often you find that, if you go looking for if an email comes in and you're not sure who it belongs to, you'll spend time running around the office trying to find out who it belongs to. But what we've done here is we've connected up all your systems. So let's say you've received an email from Design, A1 Design, and you're not sure who that client belongs to. You can just simply type in Design in our search box, and you can see Sage here. Sorry, Sage. You can see AIRPA is searching across all of those connected platforms. So it's found a result in Outlook. We do connect to Google as well, but you can see here there are 10 instances where the word design has shown up in Sage. So I can have a quick scan down here and see A1 Design actually at the top. It's not usually at the top, but there it is at the top. If you select the company, it will actually give you a brief summary of that particular client. So you have a real quick view of who that customer is. If you select the launch button here, it will launch you directly into the underlying platform. In this instance, it is Sage. And if you hit 360, it will launch you into one of our dashboards, which if I have time, I will show you at the end. And that is a more comprehensive view of that particular customer, any documents you have with them, and any kind of high-level transaction history and things like that. That would sit in the 360 dashboard. And again, click of a button, quick search, and you've got all that information available to you. So we've done single sign-on. We've searched across all our platforms, all our ecosystems at the click of a button. What we can also do is make sure that all the data you have across all of these systems is actually accurate. So if I go into compare and propagate, select organizations, In fact, I'll just do one for now, just so it doesn't bring them all up. I'll clear all, and I will select demo because that is my Sage company. So what I've actually set my practice up, we use Accountancy Manager, because Accountancy Manager is obviously without doubt the best practice management software out there. You're welcome, Jonathan. So we actually, yeah, no worries, mate. To be fair, this wasn't set up just for the demo. We do use, or we connect to Accountancy Manager, and I have it set up as my what we call master data source. Now you can have your master data source set as Sage or any other platform that you want if you're using a different CRM, but I have it set up as Accountancy Manager. So what you can see here is that for me and my practice, any information that I have in our Accountancy Manager, I know is true and correct, or it should be true and correct. But what I can do here is search across the other connected systems that I have to ensure that that information is correct. So it's quite easy for somebody to ask you to update one of your systems. It may be payroll or your doc management. We've changed address, we've done this, that, the other. And obviously that can cause confusion, that can cause problems. Certainly if you've got deadlines to hit and information is being sent to the wrong place. So in here, literally you can search, or we will search for you. And we don't expect you then to go into Staffology and update that information. You can see here, my fat fingers have put the registration number incorrect and the last digit should be 6, and I've misspelt the name of the company. So if you hit propagate, what that will do is AIRPA will now work in the background to successfully propagate. It's always nice when that pops up, to successfully propagate. And you can see here that the details have been updated. So that means that the details have been updated in the underlying platform. Now you see a little icon here. That means that we can't actually update that information within Sage, but we are working very closely with them. That is a limitation of an API at the Sage end, but they're very aware of that and they're working hard to change that. So we will be able to update that as well. But again, if you were then to go and select a number of other companies, you could do them all at the same time if you wanted to. Just give that a second to load up so you can see here where errors occur across all your systems. So we've got single sign-on, access, quick access to all your platforms. You can search for information across all of those platforms really easily, and then you can make sure that you can trust the data that you have across your entire platform or your entire practice. So now that we've got all this correct and connected data, we then can pull that through into intuitive dashboards. The first one that I will show you is the operational dashboard. I'll just select some more companies, select all. So what this is doing, this is giving me as a practice owner or a practice manager or even a manager of a team an overview of what's going on with all of my customers. So you can see here we have overdue tasks, tasks that are due immediately, and then tasks that are due in the future. So again, if we use demo company as an example, we can actually click on here and it will give us all the areas where there is work to be completed. So master data linked connections. So you can see here that the bank transactions haven't been pulled through for the last 2 days. So that might be a problem with the bank connection, or it just hasn't been pulled through. So you need to do that in order to know that your data is accurate. Payroll, there's obviously a lot of payroll work to be completed there. And then also within bookkeeping, you can see here that 5 items are not allocated. So what that means is if you're doing management accounts, for example, I'm sure this has happened to you in the past, you're doing management accounts and then someone comes and tells you actually not everything was allocated, so those management accounts are not correct. That would never happen to you here because you know what work needs to be completed, so you can stay on top of it. We also have something called the product center, which is a more holistic view of your work tasks. So you can, with this, I mean, I only have 12 companies. When you've got hundreds of companies and data flowing into the system, you will be able to start to see bottlenecks in work. So there's a lot of work that is required in September. Maybe you can bring some forward or push some back. You can also look at the hours it's going to take to manage your resources better. So you might say, actually, there physically aren't enough hours in that day, so we need to move some of that work around, or we need to bring some extra resource in. I'm very conscious of time, so I'll just show you one last dashboard, which is our management dashboard. And what this is, it's a real-time view of data pulling through from, in this case, it's just Sage, but you can pull it through from multiple platforms. So if you're using other accounting platforms, or if you were using, or if there's any data that you wanted to pull from anywhere, you could do that and you could pull that through from here. So this has actually aggregated the data across all of my companies, but typically you would just use one company. And this is where you would be having those real-time conversations with customers when they're calling you. You can see all the information you need, the P&L, the balance sheets and net flows. One thing that we do as well is we appreciate that, appreciate the time as well, sorry. Appreciate that Excel spreadsheets are still very powerful, very popular tools. So we have incorporated that in here as well. So you can upload spreadsheets into the system if you want, but if you're using OneDrive or G Drive or any of the live documents, you can actually have those connected in here. So this would be a live spreadsheet and we'd be pulling that data through. So I'm conscious of time there, so I will stop. Two other things very quickly. Automations is a huge part of this. With connected data, we can actually automate the workflows between each of the systems. And we also have something called Universal Directory, which is document management, managing of all your documents, data and information across all of your different platforms. And that is me with a whistle-stop tour of AIRPA. So I shall stop sharing now and pass that on. But again, thank you very much for your time. I'll drop my email address in the chat box. So if you have any questions or you want a deeper look at the system or the integrations we have, then please do contact me. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Neil. That was great. So we're now going to hand over to Alex from Bit Systems. So Alex, can you start sharing your screen, please?
Yeah, no problem. I will just share it over now. So can everyone see first slide, just the introduction slide, and hear me okay?
Can't see the screen. Yeah,
okay.
Can hear you, but can't see the screen yet.
1 second. It's always the way. How's that?
Yeah, I can see that now. Brilliant.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Always the first go. So hi there, my name's Alex Blunden. I'm the Client Services Director at Bit Systems, and today I'm here to show you BitInventory 50. So this is a stock management software that integrates with Sage 50 predominantly. We also have some other products as well, which I'll go very briefly over just as a Bit Systems overall. But here today, we're here to show you BitInventory. So Bit Systems as a whole. So a little bit on our history. We've been running, Bit Systems running for about 25 years, and we have very good experience in developing a highly successful portfolio of solutions across a number of sectors, and including kind of manufacturing, stock management, web integration, etc. We've been working with Sage 350 and Sage 200 for the last kind of 15 years or more. And specifically 50 and 200, and we've been running our stock management solutions for both of those for that time. Last year, through the pandemic, we decided to migrate our mobile solution, or our handset solution, over to Android from Windows CE. Windows CE is obviously Windows have started to kind of wind that down, and it's been end of life, I think, this year, if not next year. And so we took the decision last year with the pandemic and all the time we had to migrate over to an Android platform, which I'm going to show you today. In Bit Systems, we've got a headcount of around 40. That covers kind of sales, delivery, and our in-house development team as well. That's almost kind of doubled over the last year, and we're continuing to grow. We've just added another consultant, and we're adding hopefully another support staff in over the next few days. So hopefully that should give us some ability to grow as well. Predominantly the products we do at the moment are BitInventory 50, which I'm about to show you. The same for BitInventory 200 as well. It integrates with 200 for warehousing and stock management. And also we've got bin manufacturing as well, which is being developed as we speak. As we have it in a few clients already, and we're looking to go out to market on that next year. So I'm just going to stop this 1 second and then show you. So you should now see my my desktop. So I'm going to go into a live demo now and show you a few bits and pieces. So just to show you, I've got a demonstration copy of Sage 50 as well as our own application, and also I've got a copy or a view of our scanners. So our scanning system works wirelessly, so updates wirelessly back and forth to Sage. And we've been kind of running Sage transactions, kind of goods received against a purchase order, picking against and dispatching against a sales order, and then stock taking for a good 15 years now. And then about 5 years ago, what we then decided to do was add in some functionality on top of this. So what we added was our advanced stock management. What this has given us the ability to do is add some functionality into Sage 50. So as you know, there is plenty of functionality in 50 in finance and in stock. But what we found was there was a couple of bits that some of our customers or some potential customers were really struggling with, and so may have been looking elsewhere. So what we did was we've added some functionality into this. The two predominant ones are multi-location. So this gives us the ability to hold multiple sites or warehouses and also multiple bin or bay areas or shelf areas against a product. Okay, this really helps with with customers that are still using Sage 50 and so using Sage 50 very well, but they can't kind of control exactly where they stock. They know it's in the business, but they're not exactly where it is. So our multi-location gives us the ability to show exactly where that stock is on a site or a warehouse level, but also, as you can see, you can then drill down into exactly where that stock is in the business itself, in that warehouse. We've also added in traceability, so serial or batch numbers, batch information. So that might be a serial number against a product like a hard drive or a PC or something like that. Or it might be batch information against either food or pharmaceutical, and so we can then track that information through the business, if you like. We can tag that against every transaction, right from goods received from the supplier, if it moves around the business, all the way out to which customer it went to once it goes out to do so. What that means is then what we can then do is we can track that back so that if there is an issue or anything else, somebody can track a batch or track a serial number through and see what needs to be changed. We do that with a full audit service. So we audit every transaction that goes through the scanners. We time and date stamp that and show the details of everything that's happened. Like I said, if we do have what we call an identification number or a serial batch number, then what we can do is we can track that on all the transactions. Also, quite importantly, we can also tell you who completed the transaction. So what we do is we create a user per person for the scanners, so you can see who's completed which pick, which goods received. So instead of kind of chasing yourself around the warehouse and trying to find out who's done what, you can look at this and see exactly what's happened with that. We've also got full label printing, so pallet labels and product labels, bin shelf labels as well, so that you can also try and automate as much as possible. So they could end up scanning a pallet label or a product label, the batch traceable information, and then the shelf or the bay that they're putting into, and maybe only keying in the quantity. But again, you could have them scan the items to count the quantity if needed. So that kind of explains our advanced stock management. I'm going to just bring you back to the scanner. So like I explained, we do excuse me, we do complete or create a user per person, and for this then that means that they can log in and we can actually see who's completed which transaction. What we can also do is a bit like Sage, is then you can actually create you can then bespoke that that profile to each person. So you've got somebody who's only ever going to complete goods in, then they can process. We can just have that job so that they know what's going on. Otherwise, if they're just doing goods received, or if they've got a varied role or a supervisor role, we can give them the jobs that they need. This is really good because then we can actually, if we set this up during training, we can set this up so that the user only sees what they need to. This is really good for getting them on board, because obviously the end user is very important. In fact, that the information they're putting into the system, the better information they put in, the better the information back out. So if they're comfortable with it, then obviously you're going to get better information out. Once they sign in, the user can be password protected, and you can log into the location. Once they've logged in, then you get a very simplified categorized menu, which covers quite a few different areas for Sage 50. I'll go through them very quickly for you. So we've got stock transactions, which covers adjustments out and adjustments in. So if your stock is leaving the business or coming into the business, but not necessarily linked to a PO or a sales order, then you can still process the information for that through this. Stock transfers, so if you're moving stock around the business to try and find enough room to be able to keep stock at a minimum and keep capacity at a good level, then what we can then do is transfer stock around the business. As far as Sage is concerned, if you've got 50 in stock, it will still be 50. But as far as we're concerned, then our system can show that item's moved around the business, so you know exactly where it is. We also cover bill of materials. So if you are using bill of materials for 50 for finished goods and components, then what we can then do is show you is then have it that you pick or scan your finished goods, and based on the components set up in Sage 50, you can then have a pick list based on the items you want to build and the number of items you want to build. You can now have a pick list of the components you need to do that, so they can check them off. That then mimics the stock transfer in Sage 50, and so you can then write off the component stock and write on you can then write on the finished goods, and it shows you what's in stock. Stock takes, you can do a couple of ways. You can stock take by product or stock take by bin. I might be able to show you those in a minute, but the stock take by bin has been very popular against our existing customers, because it's really good for cycle counting. So instead of having to find the product, you can kind of count bins at a time and process that stock take a bin at a time. So it's really good for cycle counting, rather than having to wait till the very end of the year to do your complete stock take and have lots of anomalies, if that's what happens for you. Sales order processing, we cover a lot of bases here. So you can dispatch sales orders. We've also got dispatch by customer. So if you have a lot of sales orders per customer, and you would rather have a condensed pick list per customer rather than going in and out of each order, then we've got that for you as well. You can create invoices, create sales orders, and also some customers use invoicing instead of sales orders. So we've got our invoice confirm here that can then show you how to pick, that can show you the invoice, and then you can pick from an invoice. Alternatively, if you want to use sales order allocate, because you allocate stock to the order to see what's in stock, then you can use that as well. So that will just allocate stock to a sales order. We've also got project accounting. So you can allocate issue allocations, return stock. So that runs stock from, so you can allocate stock in Sage 50, and then actually the team on the ground can then issue that allocated stock. You can also allocate the stock from the handsets as well, so you can kind of do most movements that you need to for project accounting for that. We've got the ability to print labels and product lookups as well. And lastly, and one thing I'll just quickly go through is goods received. So this is for purchase orders in Sage 50 that you can then receive stock in for as you go. So for this, it's very simple. Once goods come to the door, so once the purchase order is created and it's on order, that can then be received and sent down to the scanners to be able to receive. They can update the scanners wirelessly. So once the goods come to the door, they can log into the scanner and they can update the handset. And at that point, then they can pull down the most recent sales orders down to the scanner as they're walking around the warehouse. They've then got the ability to see all the sales or purchase orders they've got, and if they have a lot of orders, they can also filter down to an exact number. So if they want to, they can filter down. So on here, I can then filter down to, I add that in, I can then filter down to an exact purchase order if I want to. Otherwise, I can pick my purchase order and start entering the details. You can put GRN details in there. So if the delivery driver has paperwork with a particular reference that you want to use on that, then you can do. And then you can send that information back to Sage. So that will come up on the deliveries tab on Sage 50. Once you put that information in, you then have all your products that are outstanding on that purchase order to then receive. Okay. So from there, then you can then process those goods by scanning them. So if I scan an item here, so I can scan a goods, and it will take me into that item, and it will tell me what I need to do with that next. So for instance, at the top, then it will then show me exactly where that stock is currently. So almost like a guided put away. It will give me the Sage stock code and description and the quantity, and then underneath, once I scan that item, I can confirm what I'm doing with it. Okay, so I can decide to put it in A1. If A1 is full, I can then look at where else that stock is, or all my other bins in the warehouse, and then I can process that information. Also, if it's a traceable item, I can then process that serial number or batch number. So this is serial number item, but then I can also scan a barcode for a serial item as well. We are also GS1 compliant, so if you are using GS1 barcodes in terms of pharmaceutical or food or anything like that, that hold product identifier, serial or batch number or lot number, and then expiry date, we can actually process those with just by scanning that barcode. Otherwise, you can also input that information manually, or you can scan individual barcodes for each individual part. Once you've done that, you're then happy to save. If you fully receive a line, then the line disappears. If I then scan another item here, and then scan another item here and bring it up, then what I can then do is I can then process that as well. If I part process a line, then what I find is I can receive the 10. Obviously, this is not a traceable item because I can choose what it's not. Once I save that down, I still have the 5 remaining, so I can part receive those goods as well. If there are any problems while I'm using the scanner, before it gets sent back to Sage, we also have the amend output. So at that point, I can then make any amendments I need to before I send that information back. Once I'm happy though, I can then send that information and I can process that back. Otherwise then it can then process back into Sage, and we do the same. It works the same for sales orders. It works the same for, we can then also with sales orders, we can process them back, and you can then process that information back, and we can print off your dispatch notes. And with stock takes, we never process those automatically. But what we can do is process those back to our application, and then we run a full comparison in between what's in Sage, what's on the what the person is counted, and that information can be processed all the way back. And what we can also then do is we can then track that information like I showed you in ASM. Just to kind of finish off very quickly. So like I said, we've got the ability then to look at, there you go. We've got the ability then to look at integrated transactions, so goods in, goods out, POs for goods received, sales order dispatch, invoice picking. That information can then all be integrated straight back into Sage, so it can keep your overall stock value and your overall stock information. The added functionality we bring, multi-location, zero batch traceability. Obviously, we're GS1 compliant. We can also look at multiple supplier barcodes, so you can hold the one product but multiple barcodes for it if you're buying it off separate people. Pack barcoding as well. So if you're, packs of 6, 12, 24, we can associate a barcode for that to ease with counting or bulk counting. And we've also got the label printing as well. The services we provide, obviously, full on-site training, a dedicated email and telephone support, which I said earlier is growing, and we do full project plans and scoping for each project to make sure it's bespoke for yourself and make sure it's working. Otherwise, we have an upgrade plan to make yourself future-proofed, and obviously we have the 200 offering, which we'll be looking to process, which we'll be looking to show off in July, I believe, in the medium segment. If you do have any questions or any interest at all, then the below is where we can see it, or the way you can see that now. We've got our contact us email on our website. You can give us a call and talk to myself, Alex Bundon, or Ben Murray, or we've got the info@ email address where you can send us our information and we can come back to you at a later time.
Brilliant.
Otherwise, I think that's it for me, and I can hand that over.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. We're going to pass over to Glenn now to take us to the end of the hour.
Thank you. Right, just double check you can see everything there. So, can you see my slide?
Yep, can see that.
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Glenn Morgan, CEO of At.Settled. We're really excited to join you all here today. We've worked with Sage businesses for a number of years, but excitingly recently entered the Sage marketplace to increase our focus on helping Sage small businesses with their cash flow and working capital management. I know cash flow is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, and everybody means something slightly differently with it. And more often than not, they're talking about a reporting solution identifying a cash flow issue. Just to assure you, though, we are not one of those. We're a practical and simple real-world cash flow solution focusing on the cash flow problem you and most UK businesses have, getting your overdue invoices paid on time. It's been a tough 12 months for UK businesses, and we've seen some amazing innovation and success stories, as well as some devastating hardships. We understand how difficult the current climate is as we launched during it. Our clear purpose at At.Settled is to help rebuild a sustainable UK economy where every business, no matter how small, has every chance of success. We know from working with lending partners across the high street banks, broking and subprime community that the government loan scheme has lent in excess of 75 billion to 1.6 million SMEs over the last year. The data tells us the reason for the funding is mainly working capital that has been negatively affected cash flow due to COVID. What the data doesn't tell you and isn't reported is that 700,000 SMEs that applied didn't get access to funding. That's 44% of all applicants. Let's just let that sink in for a minute. We want to help solve this problem and empower SMEs like you to have access to our working capital solution, designed by credit control experts and built for micro and SME businesses just like yourselves. Today we'll give you a demo of how At.Settled works and how to integrate At.Settled with your Sage account. We have two different plans available to Sage users. The professional plan, which includes an automated 12-step process that's proven and effective, and if followed, will get you paid on time every time and is integrated to your Sage package. Templates for invoices and credit application forms to ensure that you're doing all you can. Query management functionality to eliminate and quickly resolve reasons for non-payment. And access to our growing preferred partner ecosystem that gives you exclusive access to a variety of amazing supplementary services that will further improve your cash flow. It also includes online training on all things you need related to working capital and cash flow management. Our comprehensive plan gives you all of the above, but also credit reports to check your customers before you trade with them and whilst you are doing so. The option to have physical letters posted for you at the click of a button throughout the process at no additional cost. And our guarantee. Our guarantee is basically that if any invoice is chased using the At.Settled process and does not result in payment, we flip it over to Credit, my other company, who will then act as a debt collection agency until such time as it's paid. We're very confident in both businesses' ability. To celebrate today's official launch with Sage customers, we're offering a 75% discount off the price of the professional plan for 3 months. All you need to do is go to www.itsettled.co.uk/sage. Please note this offer is only open for the next 30 days. Now, our success rate when using the app, or rather our client success rate, is 93% of all the invoices uploaded to the platform getting paid. No other system on the market can give you this level of assurance or offer you a full end-to-end solution. The process has already collected in over 420 million in the last 11 years, and it can now be used by you in your business. Right, now let's show you how easy it is to use. At.Settled is the UK's first automated credit control team. Yes, that's right, it's a team, except we're a software. Simply put, At.Settled is a simple-to-use software solution that distills 25 years of experience in credit control into our platform, which guides you through the steps that you need to take and when to take them to collecting overdue invoices, provides you with the best approaches and tools to receive the money that you're owed. Right, now I'll give you a very brief demo of At.Settled. So I've gone to the login page to start off with. This will be the basic details that you have to put in, just 5 bits of key information, and then you would click and it would take you through. Obviously, I already have an account, so for these purposes, I will just log in. So this takes you straight through and then gives you the opportunity to integrate with the star of the show, your Sage software. So you click through to there, click on the link button. You'll be asked to verify and log into your Sage account. Confirm the link. And that's it, you're done, you're linked in. So then you would want to have a look at pulling across your debtors. Obviously, these are your customers. These are existing ones that are on there, but I can quickly show you how to add a debtor. So there are 2 options here. You can either add them one by one, or our preference is trying the bulk importing tool. So this will then give you a list of all of the debtors that you are yet to pull across. You just tick the ones that you want, click on import, and they're done. It tells you up in the top corner, they're ready to go, and they're added to your debtors in amongst here. It's as simple as that. As I said, you can also pull them in one by one. It will list any of those that you haven't pulled across, and you can add those individually if you wish. Then you want to create your cases or pull your cases across from your integration. So cases is what we call invoices. The reason we call it a case is because each of the steps are shown against them, and I'll show you that in a minute. So you simply add a case, exactly the same way as before. You bulk upload, and this will give you a list of all of the invoices that you may want to pull across. You just tick those and import. And they're done, they're all pulled across. So I'll just go into the cases in a bit more detail. As I say, it's told you up in the corner, finished importing those invoices so you know that they're then on there. If I give you an example of once all the cases are on, you can then go to your dashboard, and I'll explain this bit here. So the actions to take, this will have represented an email that gets sent to you each day with the actions that you need to take on the relevant cases. Normally be a lot less than 14 on a daily basis. This is just because I've built up some test data for demonstration purposes. It will tell you with each of these invoices all the way down what step you are with them, and if you click on those, click on the action next to it, it will take you straight through to that case, tell you what your action is, and then you can choose to complete that action. You'll see the case timeline down the side that will show that the previous steps that have been taken. So you've now got options here. You can either send it yourself, have it sent for you, compose it and put it into an email, or do both, email and send at the same time. So for the purposes here, I'll say I'm going to send that one. And you'll see the box is ticked and it tells you your next action is in 7 days' time. Now, if for any reason you wanted to see what letter is being generated, hopefully this comes up on the screen as well. No, that one's not coming through. Right, give me 2 seconds. Bear with me a second. I had an issue with my PDF generator earlier on, so it's not the actual system. It's more my computer. Right, there we go. Right, so there's your letter. So you can see what's going out, pre-populated, the correct wording, legally compliant. It's got the amount, date, the bank details. It's as if you've got a credit control team. Your customers will think that you've got lots of people working for you and that they know their stuff. So also, if I take it back into any of the cases, as I said, it shows the steps here. If I go into any one of them, it will give you the details here as to what needs to be done. I've already gone through the actions with you. Another key part of the system is the queries and payment promises element. So if you go into and look to add a query and you type in any digit there, this will give you a list of all of the main query types that exist. And you can add that note to there, but also if you click on the question mark next to it, it tells you what to do and when to do it in order to resolve that query. Really important, because you don't want your customers hanging on to the money for too long because there's a query on it. Now, if I add a note here to say not received, and I add that, that's then generated a query, which means that the collections process is paused. And you can see the pause button here. That means that no further action will be taken until such time as that query is resolved. You can't chase a customer when they've got a valid reason for not paying. However, from the moment you take care of that query, click on resolve for that query, you'll see that the pause button goes. And the important thing is it carries on the process from where it stopped. It does not reset it, so it doesn't buy the customer another 30 days just because they've queried it. And as a direct result of that, you'll find that your customers don't query things as often because they know it's not going to buy them as much time. Now, the dashboard here, as I said, there will be a representative email that comes out to you each day that gives you a list of all your tasks. You simply log in through that email and click on each of the actions at the various stages and take care of them. This is not supposed to take you any more than about 10-15 minutes a day, and you know that all your actions are completed. This dashboard here will give you a list of all of the cases that are open and what step they're at, all the closed cases, so you can see on average which ones get paid at certain steps. And then we have other services and help and advice which we're building in, which is our partner ecosystem, which I referred to earlier, which will be additional help with working capital and cash flow management. And that is pretty much it. It is as simple as that. So yes, please visit www.itsettled.co.uk/sage for anything else. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. Realise I haven't taken the full amount of time, but yeah, it really is that simple to show you. So haven't needed it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Glenn. Got a little bit of an echo there. Yeah, so thanks very much everyone for joining us today, and thank you very much to the ISVs as well for presenting. If you do want to see this again, the recording will be going up on Vimeo and also on the Sage UK YouTube channel in the next few hours. I'll be posting this onto my LinkedIn, so if you've not got me on LinkedIn, please go onto my profile, which is Alan Blackie Sage. I'll be putting the recording on there. We'll also be doing a vote over who you thought was the best ISV in the last hour, and then whoever wins a prize. So please go and vote on that. With all that said, thanks again, everyone, and see you next month.
Thanks, Alan.